It seems like everyone has their own name for this plant. Starfish plant, African spear, Sansevieria, whatever it is that you call it, let's learn a little bit about it. For now, we'll call it Sansevieria cylindrica. Join me.
Liquid Amber Girl Gardening.
Before we start, I wanted to take a minute and give a shout out to all of the comments that came in on my most recent video. These people came on and really just embodied exactly what it is that I'm trying to put out there, and that is just love and uplifting support of each other as growers and as human beings. So I was really touched. It just seemed like every comment that came in on that last video was so sweet and uplifting. So I wanted to thank Given to Grow, Darcy Oakley, Christina Eilers, Seabar, Terry, I'm sorry, I can't say your name, you sweet thing. You comment a lot, and I have a great time communicating back and forth with you. And then Mandy's Tropicals. Everybody just had such sweet things to say, and it meant a lot. And I just wanted to give you a little shout out because of that. This plant is such a good plant, especially if you are a beginning plant mommy or daddy, and maybe one who's not very talented yet, because a lot of people say that African spears are a plant that thrives on neglect. And you may not always see it in this fan shape like it is here. Some of them have longer, thinner spears that kind of grow more upward and not in a fan shape quite so much. And you may even see them like braided together. They're really cool looking. Anyhow, let's talk about what people mean when they say that this plant thrives on neglect. Probably what people are referring to when they say this plant or another plant thrives on neglect is its watering schedule. For this plant, during the winter time, it really only needs to be watered about one time a month. And of course, that can vary always according to what your climate conditions are within your house, wherever you're keeping it. But generally once a month is good. They're kind of like the euphorbias in that way. And then once it gets into active growing, it really doesn't need to be watered more than once every 2 weeks. So it really wants a lot of water when you water. Let it run through all the way out through the pot, and then let it sit until it's completely dry. So you reach your finger down in there and you feel no moisture whatsoever. Then it will be time to re-water your Sansevieria starfish. Along with watering, we should probably talk about fertilizing. And it probably makes sense if you think about when you cut back watering in the winter, you also do not fertilize. That will be kept for the active growing season. So once winter is over, then you want to start adding some fertilizer into your routine. Basically follow the same pattern that you would for the rest of your houseplants. Maybe once a month, maybe twice a month. This can be a pretty heavy feeder. So you're going to be okay to not burn out roots or anything like that if you're fertilizing as much as twice a month even. I found some conflicting information on the internet about whether or not this is a fast-growing or a slow-growing plant. So first, let's talk about how it does grow. This is a rhizome plant. So think along the lines of an iris, a member of the iris family. And what it does is actually, these can grow so many rhizomes that they have been known to literally shatter the pot that they're growing in because they can create so much pressure from the inside, which I think is fantastic. In my personal experience, I think that they are fast growing and definitely fast multiplying with the little plantlets that they will put out. Other websites said differently. Now, I think a lot of that may have to do with the kind of light that you're providing for your plant. So let's talk about light next. I did want to add in really quickly that you can divide these little baby starts from the parent plant as soon as they have several of their own spears. So this one is probably big enough that it could be divided for sure, but I'm going to leave it in there. One, because I like the way it looks, and two, I just want it to have a little bit more maturity before I try to divide it. And you just go in with a nice sharp knife or sharp scissors and literally sever it from the parent plant, and put it in its own pot. The reason I think there are such conflicting stories about how fast this grows is the amount of light that you give it. And one of the big selling points for this and many Sansevieria plants is that they are low light tolerant. And that's certainly true. That is not a lie. But when these plants are put in low light, especially super low light conditions, they almost, if not completely, stop growing. Okay, so they'll just hang out at the size that they are, and they won't make any forward progress. They won't be making lots of new roots. They won't be putting out lots of little babies, because what they truly want is bright, indirect light, like most of your succulent plants. Don't misunderstand. I am not saying that if you have one of these in a low light situation that you should take it out. Absolutely not. If you have, you know, a place at your office or a place in your home that is like a really dark corner and you want some green in there, these plants can do it. You're not harming them per se. It's just that they're going to shut down their active growing until they have a brighter light situation. What's required for your African spear plant are very simple. If it's a temperature where you as a human being can grow and thrive, then it's a temperature where your African spear plant can grow and thrive as well. I do want to put out one caution. If you have young children or animals that like to chew on plants, this one is a real no-no, okay? This is definitely toxic to humans and to our doggies, kitties, whatever else you have running around. So if you are planning to buy one, that's fine. Just can you find a place up high or in a place where your animals or your young children cannot reach them? After giving you that caution, however, let me give you two really amazing reasons that you should have this plant in your home. Reason number one, just like all of the other Sansevierias I've ever researched or kept in my home, this removes toxins from the air that we breathe in our home. It literally takes formaldehyde, toluene, and xylene out of the air and makes the air so much better for people to breathe. These are one of the plants that they actually take into buildings and businesses and take the sick building syndrome, I think it's called, to try and combat that for their workers. So it's so good for having in your home. And reason number two is this is a very long-lived plant. I absolutely love the idea that when I'm long gone from this earth, that some of my plants will still be here with people that I love, especially my children, but you know, others as well. And plants are so wonderful that way. Such a wonderful gift. If you have plants that you have received from family members or friends that you cared for deeply, you know what I mean. It's such a gift. It's a wonderful thing. And you will have it for a long time. So if you find one of these in a garden center this spring, snatch it up. Don't think about it, just bring it home. It's totally worthwhile. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great week, everybody.